Welcome back to Crypto's Juiciest News. Baby dolls, looking at a Bitcoin price of $84,000. Mr. Doji is welcoming us back with this monthly candle of Bitcoin. You're probably wondering, Sommi, how are you wearing the pDAI hat? I thought pDAI was dead. Well, I have the McDonald's hat just in case, but it ain't over. It ain't over. And friends, a lot of you, everyone's been asking. And I mean, by the way, everyone, all friends and family, good luck. You're not hearing from me maybe for about 4 or 5 days. I got like multiple missed calls. WhatsApp, I've never seen the number that high. Way too many messages. I can't contact anyone. It's just, everyone's asked about the same thing. So you, if you're watching my video, good luck. I bought more pDAI. I own more supply. Okay. And yes, from my video you saw before, I did give it my soul. So initially I did sell, and then I love PulseX, but I was looking at the pennies in my hand. I was like, man, this feels like shit. I love PulseX, but something tells me, it's like, this don't feel right. This don't feel right. So when you're having a discount of minus 96%, you think about stuff like this. I also mentioned in my my Telegram. You should watch my Telegram announcements. We got a freaking shitload to cover. Okay, yesterday they got to make a movie about yesterday. He's watching. Okay, we'll speak more about that later. So yesterday was actually a career first. Just to let you know, if you're curious for some signals. So friends, just to let you know, right? So I bought a hyperinflation token, like all of us. We all bought Luna on the way down, and then we got wrecked. I know what a hyperinflation token going to zero looks like. Okay? Okay. PDAI's not a hyperinflation token. I don't care what Wichard says. That's Twitter Wichard. Okay? I know what blockchain Wichard says. Blockchain Wichard says this thing's a future. Okay? So I believe both, by the way. It's just for different audience. Okay? So it's kind of like fun. It's almost like if you have a parent and there's a dad, yeah? The dad's being a dad at home. Yeah, but when he's with the boys, he's not dad anymore. You know, he's got his beer gut out. They're like, you know, playing checkers and watching NFL and drinking beer. Do you know what I mean? And then when he's out with his wife and like they got a flower and a candle, okay, he's different there. You know, he stops farting and burping every 5 seconds, right? He holds it in for like 30 minutes just so they can do something romantic. Okay, so that's how I'm interpreting it. Now, I know if you're new to this, you're probably thinking, dude, that is the biggest load of cope ever. I can't trust this guy. I can't trust anything ever again. Look, man, you're free to do what you want. I'm just going to tell you this. Somehow, we are green on the daily. We literally went down 77% and someone bought this back up. I was one of the people buying it back up. Okay, so, and also just to let you know, friends, it was a literal, I've been in markets for 14 years or something, okay? That was a career first for me where I sold, I bought back in more, and the universe was saying to me, like before I had clicked in, okay, before I got back in, I was thinking about it, right? Remember, I was looking at the pennies in my hands. I was looking at the pennies in my hands, and the universe said, get back in and walk away. Get back in. Don't check the comments. Don't check telegrams. Mute those soy boys. Don't even read their comments. Don't look. Don't look, don't look, don't look. Get in and just don't look and walk away. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. And I only like viewed my safe space stuff. Basically my Telegram, because when people are annoying, I just mute them for 7 days. I can't do that's the worst part about Telegram. So Pavel, once you stop banging that Mossad agent, that 18-year-old girl who got you arrested, please upgrade Telegram to let me block and mute people in channels I'm in. I want to actually block and mute people. There are many Telegrams that like one person ruins it for like 500 people in there because I don't have admin access. I literally can't get them out. I just want to block and mute them forever. There's many people like that. And it really kills the experience because like it wastes time frame because like most people they don't want to change. Like we know this by now. If the candle's red, bro, ain't convincing you. That's it. If the candle's green, nothing's convincing you it's a scam either. Okay, so there's literally, and that's why if you're talking in finance and markets, there's literally no point having 99% of the conversations, right? Literally, actions speak louder than words. Now, continuing on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still green on the weekly super trend out here. I'm just going to crack on through the news. So others, BTC and all the macro stuff, we've gone through that like over and over and over again. We're just waiting for things to move. No, there's a lot of pDAI content coming. All right, so pDAI recovers the green daily candle. Remember now, there's like, you know, I've made these terms now. There's Twitter Richard, and then there's blockchain Richard, which I've made extensively many videos about. He speaks to me through the blockchain. Yeah, you don't have to believe it. Yeah, look, you don't have to believe it. I'll tell you something though. If you trusted blockchain Richard, since the SEC went after him, you're up 117x on pDAI. That's blockchain Richard. If you've followed Twitter Richard after the SEC attack, which is right here, you're down 55%. Okay? No, it's actually worse. You're down 72%. So think of plus 100x green versus red minus 72%. Okay? So I have both. I love both. It's just that blockchain Richard's coin pumps. That's something that we've been speaking about. Blockchain Richard's coin pumps a crap load, actually. And guess what? Blockchain Richard's coin has made Twitter Richard so angry that it's so strong that Twitter Richard had to come out and FUD everybody out of their bags. That's something else. By the way, that's something you got to do if you're making a decentralized world-first stablecoin, by the way. Sommi confirms friendship by buying more pDAI after the nuclear FUD event. So, yeah, man, most common question. Yes, I bought more. Friends, most of the time, I didn't bother talking about it because I don't like. If I can change my mind about other coins, I bought more, or I've DCA'd, or I've trimmed something off to rotate up here and there. It's all, who cares, okay? But for this one, I'm telling you, because that was a huge cheap discount capitulation. I'm like, bro, you're way too cheap. You know, you're way too cheap. You're way too cheap. I don't actually tell people I bought back in and I've actually owned more than I've ever owned before, and I don't talk like that. Okay, so also the nipples do stay pegged. They'll always stay pegged, and it's not over till the fat lady sings. Now, looking as well for the next piece of news, friends. David Giant Nutsacks here. He went with this Habibi in UAE, which is actually fantastic. To talk crypto. All right, now, he went there. They discussed crypto. What does that mean? Doesn't really mean anything. But look, CZ, also friend of the channel. CZ, friends, he basically hinted all the Arab countries, they've already got Bitcoin and they're secretly buying more and they're not telling anyone. He's alluded to that. He's basically said, I had meetings with them, and the way they said it, because CZ was like, oh, you should get into Bitcoin, you should get into crypto. And they go, how do you know we haven't? How do you know we're not doing it right now? They actually said that to him. You know what I mean? And that was private room meetings, right? As well, friends, this is interesting. So the US government has lifted Tornado Cash sanctions, which I didn't think we'd see it this far. Like this once again, this pisses me off with this bull market. Every single thing that you were to ask me, Sommi, what do we need to see if we want to have the best bull market of our times? They're all ticked off, bro. All of them. Literally, all of them are ticked off. There's literally nothing left. There's nothing left. They've all been ticked. Right? And then you're probably wondering as well, like me, why aren't we going up with momentum in the price action? I don't know. Maybe I underestimated it. It is what it is. Maybe it's the sign to be long for longer. We'll see, friends. Maybe it's our as well. Maybe it's our indicator that the cycle's not over in June, even though everybody is going to think Bitcoin's going to be ending the cycle in June. And look, friends, just to tell you something, okay? A lot of shit happens in this cycle that didn't happen in the cycle before. For example, coins did not have a 98% freaking shakeout in the past. They didn't do that. 98% shakeout. They did not do that. Okay. The dead number was like around 80. This went like, you want to see where 80 is? Because that's like, this is interesting. Look where 80 is. You're still at 0.7 of a cent in pDAI. So we dropped a further 90%, which is interesting. It's almost like Richard's soul was like, hey, let's do the standard 2020 dip. Okay, here's your 80% drop. Oh, wait, there's too many weak hands still. Let's do another 90%. The bottom fell out. Do you see what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that's been happening this cycle. That's different. That's different. I've also noticed this cycle. It really is a believer cycle. And believer cycle is, there's no dips anymore, friends. There's no dips. It's life-shattering, soul-sucking, bone-crushing shakeouts. They're not this 30%. There's no dips, bro. Who's scared of a 30 or 50% dip? No one gives a shit anymore. That's nothing. These ones now are vicious. 80, 90% plus. Bang. Is it even a shakeout? No one's ever seen anything like that. They're huge. That's what the meme coins have done. That's what all of these things have done. They will come back, but man, like it's wild. Now, interesting for the Tornado Cash removal as well. Very, very interesting for privacy. Richard Hart went and tweeted about the privacy thing for Tornado Cash. And I've got it right here because like this is interesting, friends. So I made, if pDAI went to 0, right? It was pretty much, but I felt like 0. So when pDAI was like towards 0, I had my my write-up, and in my write-up, I wrote stuff like, well, the P tokens are all dead. No one's ever going to trust the P token. Who's going to bridge in now if there's an infinite minting inflation bug? And the guy's just like, whoops, I fucked up. Okay. No one's ever going to trust any of that now. So that called a lot of these things into question. And I was thinking like, if you want whales to come in, right? Because you want to attract them with the privacy stuff. That sucks because we just had an apparent infinite minting bug, which isn't infinite minting, friends. It came out. It's not. You literally just shot yourself in the foot. You did. It's kind of like you've got a door open for a party, but you've got windows and you're literally just, you're just shooting everybody with a water pistol inside. A golden shower water pistol, by the way. It's very smelly. You're like, hey, well, no one's going to come in here. They can literally, that's what Richard did. He's like, here's the window. Everything's trash. And like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, I know Eric thinks he's that dumb. I don't think he's that dumb, man. I know Eric does. Eric Wall. I don't think it's that dumb. Also, something from the universe as well, friends. In the midst of the bottoming and the everything being dead, like, we're not going to read this. I haven't even read it, but look at the length. Look what Eric Wall posted. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Bro. Wow. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, man, that reads like an obituary, dude. That's, come on, man. And by the way, friends, in the Twitter Spaces I mentioned, hosted by Matty Allin, you can watch it on his channel. I think I get in there like 1 hour and 37 if you want to just listen to when the conversation starts. By the way, in that channel, it was 8 anti-pDAI, and it was me and Mr. Royce Hart. It was like 2 against 8, 2 against 10. And also, shame on the scum who know they know who they are, who were bad-mouthing me, thinking like, oh, Sommi is too bullish, Sommi's too bullish. They literally came in halfway into the Twitter Spaces, not knowing the reason why I joined the Twitter Spaces in the first place was because it was an hour and a half of shitting on pDAI and that everything was literally not working. Okay, that's why I actually came in. But I understand because I guess powerful voice, good communicator, or actually did all the research. And then halfway through, everyone's asking questions like, bro, you haven't watched any of my videos. I've already told you we don't need $22 billion to peg. I've already told you it's 555x from $1. I already told you all these. I already told you it's the hockey stick Richard Hart stuff. We already know the on-chain stuff is doing X, Y, and Z. We already know that EHEX bottomed on the day Richard said it was dead. Bang, 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 bang. Obviously, I know this on my freaking encyclopedia doing this 18 hours a day. But that's why I was like, whoa, wow. I'm believing the FUD because I'm thinking you guys watched my stuff and saying I'm wrong. And then I've actually realized, oh no, you actually haven't watched anything. You haven't watched anything at all. Okay, that's when I started to get more bullish. That's why also when he did the FUD, he came out seeking me. And guess what? I'm back in. I got more. Also, I've kindly replied to Eric with this. I went back, friends, and I got the exact timestamp he posted this tweet. It was right here. It's up 126%. But a lot of you fans have really been enjoying. A lot of you been saying they love you guys log on the Twitter, and I'm replying to someone from like 12 hours ago, 18 hours ago, and they're all of them at the bottom. And I'm just showing the chart. I go, bro, the thing's up 220%. Next time you tweet, instead of tweeting, hedge yourself for being wrong and just buy a bit. Like, it's just something to think about. Also, man, I loved it, bro. I just noticed this. Ivan reposted that Eric Wall tweet. Ivan reposted it. Like, there you go. Like, you're walking right into it, man. I just don't think... I don't think you're going to make it, man. I'll be honest. I don't think you're going to make it. Yeah. And then it was funny enough. Ivan, we love you, Ivan. We love you. I know, I'm here 18 hours a day. Ivan's running a company. He's running Morales. He's got a family. He's got a cute dog, fluffy dog as well. There's a lot of things. Ivan, I know, bro. When you got $100 million plus, you're too rich to care. But for the rest of us with peg nipples, we don't have $100 million. So we have to, like, fight. Friends, it's up higher from this point. From Ivan's tweet, look at this. PulseChain, Richard's testing us again. Because look, he was retweeting Richard's FUD. pDAI, it's rumored that this is a spreadsheet of guys that are minting and dumping. Perhaps they could do that forever. Coins that don't hyperinflate to death are cool. Oh, man. Friends, it's very obvious. Okay. Look, I said this before, bro. If we got back to 1 cent, I know you aren't going to buy in, but you're going to hear about it literally forever from me because it's destined for higher. The coin, he couldn't even FUD it down just like EHEX if it goes back to 1 cent. So I don't know. I don't know if it goes back to 1 cent. Infinite minting, all these other things. Watch out for the floppy willy. By the way, we are higher than when he started tweeting. Explain that for me. So when Richard lets everyone know, hey, it's time to kill pDAI, we're actually up. I wonder if Richard keeps saying, I don't like pDAI, you should sell it. Just keep tweeting that every day. Maybe it makes it pump harder too. Now, this was his tweet about Tornado Cash. Tornado Cash has been removed from OFAC sanctions list along with addresses. Shout out to Brian Boldstrong and Coin Center for suing the government. So Richard obviously is a big believer of privacy. Now, friends, of course, there's always a mid-curve take. They go, oh, Richard wants privacy so he can obfuscate his funds. Okay, you move on to the side. Maybe you're half true. Okay, whatever. The real reason, friends, obviously I don't speak for the guy. And look at the hat I'm wearing. But he makes stuff for future world adoption, okay? He makes stuff assuming everyone in the world is going to use it, right? Almost manifesting it. That's why Hex has a high supply, because he assumes everybody in the world gets to own it, so it's okay for it to, like, you know, so they can have a large quantity of it. He doesn't like, obviously most people don't like they have to buy 0.00283 Bitcoin, right? So that's one thing about it as well. So that makes sense, right? If you can have privacy on a chain, no one's got that. Solana doesn't even have that. Who's got privacy on the chain? I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know how they're going to do it with privacy pools, but I'm sure they got figured out. You know what I mean? Like, there are solutions. Now, looking at the PulseChain core coins, we did make new lows. We did make new lows, and that, yeah, it sucks ass. And obviously, all the PulseChain community were blaming the pDAI liquidity pool. And they go, Richard, 5% of the money's bridged out. 5% of the money bridged out, Richard. Friends, look, I'm going to show you this. Here's the thing, okay? I'm long. I don't give a shit what you do. I bought more. I don't care. I'm going down with the ship. I don't care. The XUSD baby dolls on PulseChain deleted Twitter for a day, didn't listen to anybody, and did their own independent research on the chain. No Twitter, no Wichard, none of that. And look at the result. We're going to read through this. Of course, everyone is allowed to have their own opinion, and even more so to do their own research. However, our investigation certainly aligned with what some of the more known PulseChain faces found about the whole situation. The wallets associated with minting and dumping pDAI have done a bunch of moves within the MakerDAO protocol. All the wallets Richard Hart posted in his spreadsheet connect to each other via internal market maker vault moves. It's him. That's another way of saying he knows the people doing it. That's why he said, perhaps they could dump forever? Perhaps? Question mark? Prior to the minting and bridging, the 5996 wallet, this is the OA one, right? That 99 Capital pointed out, has loaded the Maker Vault with hundreds of millions of pDAI. What? Listen to that. Prior to the minting and the bridging, the Richard Hart OA wallet loaded the vault with hundreds of millions of pDAI. Mr. 99 Capital reported on that. That makes no sense. But you went and tweeted Wichard. But you tweeted Wichard. They got to make a movie out of this shit when we're done, by the way. And actually have the transaction here. Let's continue. The minting from a MakerDAO vault does not equate to what most people consider regular minting, which is an inflation of the supply. He goes, it doesn't. It's not minting. It's not infinite minting. It's just exiting your vault. So, friends, it would be like if you're in Hex and I was watching the chain and I said, Hex's supply is going up. And you're a hexing and you say, no. The tokens, when you stake them, they're burned. And then the supply comes back into existence. And I'm like, no, the supply is going up. What would you say to them? You'd say, do the research. Look onto the blockchain. It doesn't lie. Men lie, people lie. The blockchain doesn't lie. So they explain this is how the VAT works within MakerDAO. Those positions can get liquidated if the debt compared to what you put as collateral becomes too big. Then they continue. Now, while what was done did result in funds being drained from the chain and prices tanking, the collateral for it that was placed in pDAI token sits in the Maker Vault on PulseChain. And it's not counted in the TVL of the chain. What? Basically meaning, you blockchain freaks, you on-chain sleuths are retarded. That's what he's saying. He's saying you're all actually retarded, okay? The system balanced itself neutral. You're saying it was a loss. You got it wrong. On-chain sleuths. Surprise, surprise. It's a believer's cycle. I don't know how half this shit works. I'm long. Nipple stay pegged. I don't know how any of it works. I don't know the first thing to do to write a picture on the blockchain. If I could write a message on the blockchain, I put a dick butt. That's all I could do. I don't even know how to do that. He's calling you stupid. The independent researcher who has no skin in the game is saying you guys are all wrong. And he's saying the believers, yes, they are retardios, but they're right. He continues. Liquidation would immediately burn the pDAI debt, causing an instant huge arbitrage chunk and pump in pDAI. Excuse me? Did you actually use the word pump in pDAI? Independent researcher who has no skin in the game. If it gets paid back and released from the vault, it will certainly increase funds and TVL of the chain. There you go. It's just like a hex stake. Imagine that OA did a big hex stake. And then I went to CoinGecko and I fudded it and I said, hey, PulseChain just lost 70% of its market cap. Richard's rugged it. And you look on chain, you go, no, it's not. He staked the coins. They're in a contract. He's got T-shares now. When he gets them back, it gets minted again. The market cap gets bigger again, up and down. It fluctuates. You see? I told you you're on-chain retardios. You're not as smart as you think you are. You think you know everything. You don't know shit. Believers make it. The people who bought and hold Bitcoin early, they had no freaking idea what's this Bitcoin halvening, who's this Satoshi guy, I got no idea how to code, is there an inflation bug? Yes, there were two. I don't understand the chains are reorganizing. I got no idea how these things work. What about the hash rate? You don't know what the hell's going on, bro. You're either in or you're out. I'm in. They continue. Concluding. Now, while we don't rely on speculations, this is just the pure MakerDAO technology. Even if the user puts his own money into the MakerDAO vault without any underlying reason, they have the right to do whatever they want with the money, just like all of us. This does not mean pDAI is hacked or exploitable. It's very weird for an independent researcher to be writing this hours after Wichard, Twitter Wichard, has said, question mark, pDAI, maybe, infinite bug, don't buy stuff with inflation. It is strange because, friends, I wasn't reading this stuff on the Luna, the funeral for Luna, the dead body report. They weren't writing that. They're like, oh, college got this on an exploit. Don't worry about it. They were saying, Luna has been killed. Here is the results. That's what it was. Not, this is not what's going on. Interesting. They also said from their token, we have decided to keep the pDAI and Atropa pairs for both staking and trading rewards. However, until the situation stabilizes, it will receive reduced rewards. Strange for an infinite minting bug, isn't it? Thank you, Caddy. I mean, feel free, but that's just what happened. And people have been talking about that on streams, and X is full of multiple different people coming to pretty much the same conclusion about what happened. We didn't use any of their references. We started on ourselves on blockchain explorers from scratch before checking what other people found. Interesting. So my conclusion is I've got peg nipples and they will be repegged. Like so. Here we are. There is no hyperinflation. Number one, the Minter wallets were actually preparing and setting up PulseChain MakerDAO in advance. This is exactly like you see a guy in another person's home setting up one of the kids' jumping castles in the backyard. You see him in the morning for like 3 hours. And then you're thinking, he could be a thief. He could be a thief. And then you're watching him at the party at the kid's birthday as well, because he's hanging around there. He's got to make sure the thing doesn't fly off right. 8 hours later in the afternoon, the guy's still there. And you're looking at him, look at this thief. Look at this thief. And then Wichard, the homeowner, comes out and says, I hear kids jumping castles could be like really dangerous these days. But you got to be careful. There's murderers out there. Did I use the word murderers? Question mark. People can be dangerous these days. Are they safe with kids? If I was a pedophile, I would run a jumping castle business too. That's what Wichard, the homeowner, is saying. And you're looking at him like something that up. The guy was in the backyard fixing up the tent in the morning, all morning. And now you're trying to FUD me out of the guy. You invited him to the party, bro. Wichard, on-chain Wichard, invited the guys to the party. And now he's saying, no, there might be someone's certainty. By the way, this story of what I'm saying, friends, the story doesn't have to make sense. Look at the green candle, bro. How do you finish green on a day when a coin was described from Twitter Wichard that there's an infinite minting inflation bug and there's uncertainty and things are going bad? How do you finish green on the day? It's because somebody has been buying the supply so that he needs less collateral to peg you to $1 at the end. It's a transfer from the non-believers to the believers, just like every other shakeout in crypto. And also, friends, I love reading these comments. What if you're wrong, sir? You know what, Mr. Polarity? I'll actually give you a follow, sir. I know you've been fighting pDAI a lot and stuff out here. I'll just look. This is what I do time and time. So he's asked, what if you're wrong? Well, it goes to 0. And I'll ask, okay, what if I'm right? What if I'm right? I've also, friends, I've made many tweets to let everyone look in these scenarios. Okay, I've seen this stuff happen. I've seen it happen before. You don't know the future. Okay, I'm convicted, but I still don't know the future. What I will do is, and I actually said this in my video, you mark a line on the chart where you go, hey, if you got back here, I got to get back in. You're not dead. You got to get back in. What line in the chart is that, friends? Now, it's hard with these prices. I know, look, an obvious one is 1 cent. It's very obvious, yeah? And I feel like that's it. It's 1 cent. Bro, if you get back to 1 cent, all right. It's like, it's game on now, but it's more game on. But let's look at the ratios. This is the pDAI to pulse ratio. All right. Oh my gosh, we're almost back at 100. Oh my gosh, we're almost back at 100. You know what? I gotta make another video, okay? I literally, friends, before I went to sleep, I said in the 0.001% chance that the pDAI pulse ratio gets back to 100, do you have a plan? And by the way, when I tweeted it, the ratio was it was down here. It was like freaking dead. It was like down here. So it's, by the way, you know what's funny? We're back to where we were in November last year, Trump. This is wild. So I've shown you a lot today, friends. And bro, look, it's still alive. Okay, it's like it's 400x to $1. The upside is huge. What if all the on-chain sleuths are wrong? What if the pDAI believers, the peg nipplers, what if they're right? Like the upside's huge. It's still a bet you have to take. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't change anything. It was still a good bet at 3 cents. Grok says 50-50. Go back and you watch that Twitter Spaces with Matty Allin. Yeah, I asked everybody in the chat. You'll remember. I asked you all, give me a percentage chance that you think Wichard is an operator behind this. Everyone was too scared to answer. I said 50-50. I was the highest one. Easily 50-50. Me and Mr. Royson were high. I think Mr. Royson, forgot. Everyone else was 0.1%, which is literally Mr. Giga. It was between 0.1% and 1%. Yeah, less than 1%. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, wait, you're just summarizing the price. You know what? I'm going to raise my odds, by the way. I don't think it's 50-50 anymore. I think we're up to 90%. I think we're up to 90%. I don't think the founder of a chain can FUD the primary P token to 0 and have it finish green on the day by accident. I just don't think so. I'm up to 90%. I'm up to literally 90% now. I love and appreciate every single one of you friends. Like, subscribe, belly button, or catch you soon.